Hey everybody, we're just getting started. I was just tweeting out a few to promote the space. Today we're going to talk about how to cope with brand marketing and business development because honestly, it never ends, and that's really what the topic is today. And I think for the Power of Connection chat, which we do every week, I thought would be a good topic. Also because it's Small Business Month, which is ending next week, so I thought that would be a good thing for us to do. So I'm just going to start promoting the room a little bit. Start sending some DMs so we get more people in the space. And if you are here, I would encourage you to please retweet the tweet that's up in the nest that I just put there right now, just to get more people in this room. We'd love to have more people in the space. And if you want to come on stage and you want to ask a question, I mean, there's only right now Indra's here as my co-host and Linda joined. That's great. We want to get more people in the room though and have a conversation. There's Melissa. Hey, Melissa. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you being here. We should want to get more people into this room so we can have a really good conversation. And I really want to help every single one of you with your brands and your businesses because the truth is there is so much you can do when it comes to marketing and branding and sales. There's so much you can do when it comes to business development and reaching out to people. So it never ends. So the trick is where to focus your time to get the most bang for your buck, or I guess your time is really what I'm focusing on here. So that's really why I thought this would be a good topic today, especially because it also is the last week of Small Business Month, and a lot of us are small business owners, including myself. And so I think that would be a really good thing for us to talk about. So with that, Indra, how are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, Bobby. I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, here's a random question for you. Are you doing anything for Halloween?
Yes, we are.
Tell me.
We nothing dramatic, just a small Halloween party with some friends, and I have a Pocahontas outfit ready, so it should be fun. What about you? Are you planning for Halloween? I mean, I know, well, it's not that far away
Oh
now. We're
yeah,
getting close.
yeah. So I'm a total Halloween guy, and also with the kids, we started this thing called that we started doing family costumes. So the kids have costumes they wear at school, but then we have for trick or treat, we actually have a group costume, the four of us, where we gather together and put a costume together. So over the years, we've done Star Wars, we've done Avengers, we've done Guardians of the Galaxy, we did Harry Potter, we did. Yeah, so we did a bunch of we did the Wizard of Oz. This year we're doing the Adams Family, so that's going to be a ton of fun. My wife already has the big long black dress. My daughter has the stockings and the dress for Wednesday Adams. I have a suit and an ascot tie for my Gomez, and my son's going to do. He's already got the shirt for I forget the little kid's name, whatever they give the kid's name, Pugsley. There you go. So that's what we're doing. So pretty excited about that. So it should be a lot of fun. Um, I'm going to again. I think it might be a good idea for us to start, but I do want to see if Linda or Melissa want to come on stage and talk about their businesses too. This is a chance for you to pitch who you are, what you're up to. I'd love to learn a bit more about what you're doing, what your brands are, what are the things you're putting out there, and I'm going to start to do a little bit more direct messaging to get more people in the room because I want to start tweeting this out. With that, I'll let Indra maybe introduce herself, do an introduction, and then let me do my introduction first. Actually, no, you do introduction, Indra, and then I'm going to just DM a couple of people, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Bobby. So I'm Indra Bartona. Uh, I am a producer and a TV host based in Hollywood, and also the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe community, which is a global community. So they're just kind of some of the things that I'm doing. I'm currently in a development mode for my movie, so that's just starting to kick off, and then a lot of the time I spend with my passion project. That's the Positivity Vibe Tribe community and growing that and doing everything there. So that's really just a quick summary of what I am doing and a little bit about me. As you could probably all hear, I'm originally from Australia and grew up on the Gold Coast in Australia. And now, well, I traveled to London, worked in London for a little while, and now based in Los Angeles. So it's great because I really get to see a bit of a global perspective of what's going on in the world. and that really does influence me. I really love that. Uh, Over to you, Bobby. Thank you for letting me introduce myself.
Yeah, and thanks to Indra also for being such a great co-host over the last little while. So I appreciate that. My name is Bobby Omar. I am a professional speaker by trade, speaking mostly about personal branding, networking, building meaningful relationships, authentic connection, thought leadership, and digital marketing influence. And over during the pandemic, I had to focus and switch. Actually, I had to pivot to doing more coaching and online programs. So now I do a lot of coaching for people with career transition, with business transition, for building their business, which is, I guess, a part of what we're doing here today in terms of the topic. Because I think a lot of us who have brands, have businesses, we always don't know. First, we don't know where do we start, and I certainly talk about that. But then the other part is like, oh my God, there's so much to do. What do I do? In fact, what's interesting is I just started a brand new a business hub for all my business dealings, and where I set up all my accounts, campaigns, funnels, you name it, all that kind of stuff, right? And I was talking to my coach and telling him, "Oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed. There's just so much to do." And he's like, "Oh, let's just do one thing at a time." And it's like, "Okay, let's do one thing at a time." So I think we're all in this at points. It happens to us all the time, and so that's why I want to hear from you guys in terms of what your brands are, what your businesses are, what you're trying to do. That said, if you are here, if you can retweet this stuff out and get more people in the room, send some DMs, that would be great. Just click the arrow button on top. You can also click on the chat button below there. I'm going to start with the first step, which is, again, I talk about this all the time, but diving deep into your personal brand, understanding who you are, how people perceive you, what they love about you, what are your superhero strengths, will give you clarity, purpose, and direction around your target, your audience, and how you serve them. And that to me is the first step of everything. And then now we figure out, based on that personal brand and that target, exactly what is our objective and how we then achieve that objective. How do we go from A to B, B to C, and C all the way to Z? And that's where you start thinking about your brand marketing, your sales, your business development type activities to make it work best for yourself. So to me, that's the first kind of big tip I'll give you. But I also want to hear from you in terms of what are your challenges? Where do you spend your time? I think that's something that I'd love to hear from. Indra, I'd love to hear from you first in terms of, do you have a tip to start off with? And then we can go to Linda and Toma for the first questions.
Yes, well, thanks so much, Bobby. Well, the thing that I really love about personal branding is because I think pretty much everybody who has a social media account is not aware that if they're not already, that they have a personal brand because they're posting out, they're sharing out things into the universe, and basically you have a personal brand. But if you are a small business owner and you are aware of, okay, well, this is what I'm doing, I think I love this topic because it's always an ongoing process. And I think at some point you just have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, this is a good time for me to revisit and take a step back and look at what is my vision, where am I going, what are my short-term, long-term goals, and just to focus, like almost, I always think like the holidays is a good time to think about like a tidy up, a clean up of everything. Where am I at? Where do I want to go? Where did I kind of kind of sidestep, or are there some things that I have really haven't got to? And to bring all that together. So I just kind of gave you a kind of a big picture overview of my thoughts on that, Bob.
Yeah, and I think both you and I are starting with the big picture piece, but we're going to drill down into the more specific things to help people out here. With that, I'd love to invite Linda to uh, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then maybe ask a question or share some thoughts in the discussion.
Hello, lovely people. Thank you so much for allowing me to come up here. I appreciate it very much. My name is Linda Ray. I have a little company in Connecticut called Aurora Consulting. During the pandemic, we helped thousands of business owners with disaster financing and the nightmare of the EIDL program with the SBA in the United States. We got over $70 million in funding for small businesses here in the US. And before that, we were doing business financing, but our business brokerage was flushed because the banks pivoted toward the PPP program, which is the payroll protection program. And so they closed the EIDL program in May. So we are pivoting yet again. And, but my background is insurance for over 30 years, almost 40 years. So I've always been in financial services, and our exposure to small businesses has been not only financing and insurance, but kind of seeing some of the operations and the behind the scenes and some of the things that were very much challenging for them to get the approvals that they needed to survive the pandemic. And also, my background entails marketing by accident, but it happens to be my most favorite thing. So when I saw this topic, I was like, I have to come in and hang out with you and see what's going on. So I kind of tout myself a little bit of a marketing maven, but always something to learn, especially because what, like you said, Bobby, is it's always something going on and always something to stay ahead of or on top of. So that's why I'm here. So thank you.
Yeah, so maybe let me ask you, Linda. I mean, this is great. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
I mean, having worked with lots of small business, what do you think are the biggest challenges they have when it comes to like all the different things? I mean, when it comes to brand marketing and business development, I mean, where are the areas in which you think most business owners are struggling?
I personally think, after talking to so many, it varies, but mostly some are hindered by thinking they're not creative, or also they're very busy and they don't have time. So that was, busy is the 4-letter word, and it's very interesting that people find that to be. I mean, it's okay to think it or feel it, but to say it out loud, it just kind of, to me, it just manifests that that's always going to be the attraction of how your day is, just cluttered with aimlessness. So I think it's a lack of creativity, or that they think they are, or that they don't have the time. And frankly, the interest, they don't have an interest. Some are banging it out of the park with referrals. So they think that's fine and they don't need new business development strategies.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, obviously, marketing and building your business should be part of how you spend your time, and
Mm-hmm.
so many people don't even think about that. Like, often someone will ask me, how much of your budget is spent on marketing? And I'm like, what? Zero. Like, it's a very common
Yes.
thing for, I don't got any money. I don't get revenue. Like, and I understand that to a point, but the truth is, you have to. If you want to build a business, you have to invest in building the business. And so, yes, there's definitely sweat and time, energy for sure. And I've done a lot of work with, building, coalitions and collaborations and partnerships and joint ventures and all that kind of stuff. But it's not enough, to be honest. I'll tell you this. I'll share with all you guys here. Almost, I'd say 80% of my partnerships, collaborations, and joint ventures end up in zero revenue. I'm going to say that again. 80% of all my partnerships, joint ventures, collaborations have ended up with zero revenue. Why? Because, number one, first off, people enter these things haphazardly without really thinking about, okay, what are we doing? How are we going to make this work? How do we build it up? And they just want to, let's do a joint venture. And next thing you know, like nothing happens, right? They don't do the work. The other part that happens, and this is not me, this is everybody else, they just stop engaging. It's unbelievable. I'm known as I'm a very engaging, responsive guy. So if Indra sends me a DM, I'll respond to her every time. I'm never going to ignore her. Is that Indra? Can you vouch for me? I'm pretty responsive. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, Bobby. And in fact, if it goes over a weekend or something and you're busy with the kids and the family, you'll say, "Hey, I've got something planned this weekend, but I'm going to get back to you on Monday." So you'll even reach out, even if you're busy, and say you're going to get back to me.
Yeah. So I'm really big on that. But it's amazing how many people don't message you, don't say anything, and they fall off the face of the earth. And I thought we agreed to do X and Y and Z, and then they didn't do anything. And so you know what I do? I make it really clear. Here's what we're doing. Here's the deadlines, and I'll mention once or twice. Hey, I haven't heard from. What's going on? Like right now, I'm in the middle of a partnership with influencer marketing with a company, and I haven't heard from them in a week. I've already submitted the documents, the content, and I'm like, didn't you want to start this like this week? And so I'm going to send an email today saying, hey, what's going on? because the other and another one that's really weird is I have people that I owe money to, and I messaged her twice. I said, I owe you money. Tell me how I can pay you. No response. It's crazy. So it's unbelievable how many people just don't follow up and don't respond, and maybe they're overwhelmed or maybe they're overly busy. But we're all busy. But are we busy doing the right things? Are we busy doing the things that are going to drive our business? And I'm going to share another mini story. Okay. I've been in business now for 17 years as a brand person, a speaker, and a trainer, a coach, whatever. And many years ago, I met up with my mentor. His name is Ron Tite, and we had lunch. And he said, Bobby, I think you spend a bit too much time giving back to people. Can we look at how much time do you spend that's directly related to building your business? It's like, look, I get that you're a generous guy and you like to give your time to things, but it's got to be in a lower end. Like once you're established, let's say you're making $1 million a year, then okay, great. You know what? You can spend more time giving back and not worry so much about making that 2 million or 3 million. But if you're still in the lower end, you need to think about that. And so we did an analysis of my time spent. I was logging, right? He wanted me to log for a week. So I logged for a week. And then he reviews, okay, so based on this, I estimate that you spend 58% of your time doing stuff that does not directly or indirectly build revenue. He said, that's terrible. He's like, that's terrible. I went, oh, okay. He's like, try to get it to like 10, 20%. Other people do nothing until they build up their first million, whatever. But fine. You're the type of person you are. Let's go for 20%. Can we aim for 20%? And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And I was doing all these coffee calls with people and Zoom calls with people I didn't even know, just because they wanted to pick my brain or they wanted to have a chat. And now it's more targeted in terms of how I do that. And then here's the funny story. The very next day, I met up with my business coach. At the time, his name was Nick Kuzmich. And he said, Bobby, I got to tell you something. Has anyone ever told you that I think you give way too much time for free? And I was like, what? And it was like the very next day, first my mentor, then my coach. And he's like, yeah, I think you have to figure out systems of, where you want to spend your time because you're just giving away too much stuff. And that was the beginning of me realizing, okay, I have to spend my time more effectively and find what are things that directly or indirectly relate to revenue building. And then and that's how I look at what business development is, right? So, hosting a room like this is indirectly revenue generating because I'm building community, I'm building relationships. And if people hear me talk about business development, they may say, hey, Bobby, let me ping you. Are you interested in coaching me? Or can you help me with this business thing? And next thing you know, I might land a client. And that's great. Other times, I'm directly messaging people about, hey, listen, I'm doing a new training on LinkedIn. You want to learn more about it because I can help your organization. So that's very direct. So I'm doing that because to me, I've struggled with that my whole life, and now I'm way more focused. And when I coach people, I can see a ton of people are doing a ton of things that don't directly build their business. That's my take, anyways. Ninja, any thoughts on anything we've been saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a similar conversation with my mentor. And he was saying, yes, I know you're the positivity vibe tribe girl, and everything is positive and everything. But he said, a lot of these people are taking up a lot of your time, and, virtually they're being demanding with what, their expectations are of you. And, it's great that you were helpful and everything else, but, this is not helping to move you forward because it's taking you away from what you're focused on. So I've really brought that into balance. And, apart from just the general people, I do mentee. I have two people that I mentor. And, they're interested in the film and television business, and they're like early 20s, like 19 and early 20s. And so that's a kind of a different situation because they're like kind of long-term people. But the other people, I just kind of manage it or I spread it out. Like, okay, not, four people in one week. Like, just do one this week, maybe one next week. And it's about balancing those things out, particularly when you have a generous spirit. So I think that could definitely uh, be a sidetrack. And it's just amazing. Like, if you offer 20 minutes, it always ends up being an hour for me. And I'm sure it's the same thing for you, Bobby. It's hard to kind of limit things when you're trying to help people and they're asking you more questions. So that's why it's ended up, okay, well, just maybe one person this week and maybe one person next week. And I'm just bringing everything into balance. So I'm still giving, because I give to the community like you do. I have 3 Twitter spaces a week. All right, newsletters. I'm pumping out video content and all those other things. So, it's all about balance for me. I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and let's talk about solutions. How do I deal with that? So a couple things. So I've done a few things. Number one is I have copy paste text that's in my notes on my phone as well as in a Word document on my laptop, where when people ask me specific things, can I pick your brain? I have a response to that. When people say, hey, can we have a meeting? And I don't know who they are, I have a response for that. And so I've done that on purpose because it saves me a lot of time and energy because I know it's been planned and vetted. And so I feel good about just copy pasting and sharing it. And if they want to do the work and really work to, because like one example is like, I don't know who you are, but you know what? You continue to, I say, listen, if you have a question that you want me to answer, why don't you comment on my post on LinkedIn and I'll respond to it. And what percentage of people do that? 5%, right? Because most people who ask you stuff, they don't want to do the work to, they're not really serious. They want to take advantage and they're hoping to get a free ride. And so I want to make sure that I spend my time with the ones who are willing to work hard to do it. People who I do know, I'm more likely to give them time. And so, like if it's my best friend, yeah, I'll give her 3 hours. But if it's someone I know, I'll give them time, and I set up, and then depending on their level, I've already set up calendar invites in my business hub for 15, 20, 30, and 60 minutes. And based on the level of which I want to give them time, I'll send them the link, right? So 15 minutes, and I book them back to back so that when the 15 minutes are up, they're up. And as part of it's for myself too, right? I have to and I make the decision that this is going really, really well. I want to keep talking, and I'll let them know. But for the most part, I set that up so that it goes well. And the third thing, it starts noisy because my kids are home today. And the third thing that I do is I have a qualifying form. So now what happens is people that I don't know, I'll say, you know what, great. I'd be happy to talk with you. Fill out this form. And the form asks some questions about what they want, what are their goals, what are their challenges, are they willing to invest in coaching or consulting to achieve the solutions and results? And based on the responses, I will then follow up with, I guess we can book a meeting. Or, you know what, here are some free resources since you don't have any budget. That's what I do now. Does that make sense? Okay. We're talking about Small Business Month, brand marketing, and business development. Never ends, man. So how do we cope with this? And again, I'd like to get more people in this room. It's pretty small today. If you could actually click the arrow button on top and tweet out and just say, join this room on brand marketing, business development for Small Business Month at Rehan Bobby. Tag me, tag Indra, because when that happens, I'll see it and then I'll retweet it. And the next thing you know, that's going to go to my 500,000 followers, which will benefit your followership, we'll get more people in the room. That's really what I like to do. So those who are here, if you can just take the time to do that, I'd appreciate it. And I'll start retweeting all that stuff for you guys. In the meantime, let's hear from Melissa, who's on stage. Melissa, how are you? Tell us, introduce yourself and say hello.
Hi there, I'm Melissa, and to give fair warning, I have a meeting at 9, so I might have to hop off briefly if they hope maybe they'll be late. You never know. I am an acupuncturist in Los Angeles, and I lost my 2-year-old daughter in 2013. After that, it became clear to me that we are extremely illiterate in grief as a society. And I found myself in the position of kind of having to help people who wanted to help me through my grief and difficult emotions. And I also knew that from my work previously as a Pilates teacher, I had a studio for many years in Hollywood. And as an acupuncturist, I always joke that they come for the pain, but they stay for the psychology. Is the more they come, the more they realize how some of these stuck emotional places are really either causing or exacerbating their problems. So I've done a lot of work in my daughter's memory, most of it, fundraising work for related causes. But I've just finished a book, and I've started a Twitter Spaces for bereaved parents, and that I've turned into a podcast. And I'm hoping to kind of move towards. I'm old, and I had my kids during the recession, and then we had the pandemic, and I need some passive income streams. So I am trying to, and also there's the problem of I tell my patients pretty much all of them the same thing. My job really is teaching people how to not need me or other medical professionals. But our culture has been so trained to just do whatever you want and then go to the doctor for the magic pill or the magic surgery. And then, of course, and sometimes that's necessary. Absolutely. This is no diss on Western medicine whatsoever. It's necessary. But I think 6 of the top 10 most frequently prescribed medications could be avoided with some lifestyle changes. And so, most of my job is really convincing the people that that's true, and their mom wasn't lying to them when she said you need sleep and water and your vegetables. And the other part is supporting them through that. So I would like to kind of move towards where I can do quiet work at home, like write books, develop online classes, things like that, so that I can help more people at once, and I have some evergreen and passive income streams.
Wow. Thanks, Melissa, for sharing. First off, sorry to hear about that. I can't even imagine what that's like. And, I think grief is a really powerful topic. It's something very relevant. A lot of people need. I actually worked with another person who's a grief person to help her come up with her speaking topics and also help her land a TEDx talk, because I think that there was a lot there that she could do. And you're someone that also has a really niche topic that with a powerful story to add to it. I think that would be really great. The best way to help you, I would say, is what is the end result in terms of how they're going to make money? How are you going to make money? So, like when you look at passive income, is it people are taking your course? Sorry, my kids are like hammering in the other room. I don't know what's going on here. Are you planning to have people take a course, or are they going to hire you for coaching? What exactly is the main way in which you're going to make money? Can you explain that to me a little bit?
Sure. I've just finished a book. I've got it's going to be published in about 6 weeks. I have another one almost finished, and I'm going to develop some online courses. Right now, I've been kind of focusing more on building my platform. When you have an appointment-based business, obviously you can't reach as many people because there's only one of me, and there's only so many hours in the day. And so I'm focusing on building my platform right now while I'm developing some of these other things. But yes, eventually some limited coaching, books, speaker opportunities, and online classes.
Yeah, because I think it's important to know where the money is. I mean, most people have books as a brand builder, but not necessarily as a money generator, right? So you have to keep that in mind. I mean, unless you become a bestseller, right? And let's be clear, not Amazon bestseller, but a bestseller like on the New York Times list, that type of thing. Then it's not really a money generating piece. It's a brand building piece that builds awareness, and you use it as a tool to get people to sign up for your program, to hire you for speaking, to hire you for coaching, consulting. So what I would do first off is think about where exactly you want to spend your time. Do you want to be a paid speaker? Do you want to be a paid coach? Or do you want people to really invest in your program, your online program? And I'm going to make a really hard decision for you, Melissa, which is you have to pick what's the one, right? Everything else, you can still do all three. But what's the primary one that's going to take 80% of your time and energy that you're going to funnel people towards? And so
Courses.
Okay, great. So that's important. So if courses is the main thing, then I would start building the funnel towards that. And so there's 2 things I would advise you to. Number one, create some lead magnets that are free, like a downloadable PDF, a 1-pager, a 3-pager, something like that.
I'm just finishing a free book called All the Shit I Tell Every Single Patient.
Awesome. Awesome. How long is the free book?
Oh, like 20 or 30 pages.
Okay. So the truth is, Melissa, most people won't read it. So that's why you need to have a short one. So you want to have
Okay.
you want to have a one pager. Okay.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Number two, you should be doing Twitter Spaces, which you are, which is great. And then the other thing you should do is you should create some sort of free thing that people can look at. So maybe a series of 3 short 10-minute videos or 5-minute videos, or a series of 10 1 to 2 minute videos that gets their attention, shows your personality, builds trust, and then at the end you invite them to book a call with you, because then you can start selling them on the online course or the online program and who
I
you
have
are.
some of those. I have some of those in the can.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So stick around on stage. I see that Thomas has his hand up. Maybe he's going to address it, or as a separate question. But stay on stage, and I know you have a meeting. If you're in a meeting, fine. Stay on. We're going to be here for a little bit, and I'd love to talk more with you. And maybe Indra and Linda. Do you have any advice or thoughts for Melissa too before she has to leave? Indra, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in quickly. Yeah, Melissa, again, so sorry about your daughter. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. It's healing, the healing area is just, it's almost untapped. And I think a lot of people, there's no resources as far as where to go when things do happen. But I also think that it sounds like you have a lot of experience in this area, just like not just hands-on, but also working with clients. So, as Bobby was saying, like you're prioritizing one thing. Um, what I like to do is, because I'm sort of a multi-skiller, I do focus on one thing, but then I have some like kind of downtime where I am just going to like kind of journal and dream about the other pieces and what I could do with those things. And then some, okay, she's gone. Okay, sometimes they turn into action items if you're going to listen to the replay. Um, it's kind of like a time to brainstorm or mind map that I like to do with the other things, subsidiary things that I'm not 100% focused on that time. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and she will be able to listen to the replay, so I think that's good. Linda, any thoughts?
Well, I think well, first of all, I cannot even imagine. I don't have children, so I absolutely cannot imagine. It sounds to me that she was on the right track with a lot of the things like the lead magnet. I like your idea about making it shorter, maybe a one-page bullet point of all the things, and then she can expound on it in a larger piece that even might be one that she can charge for, and do it and tier it with different levels of a purchase kind of item. Um, I think the grief is definitely one thing that I've actually grieved with people that haven't even passed away. I've had a lot of grieving opportunities with people in my life that I've lost, and I think it is along the vein of how we communicate and how we manage our feelings. I think there is an illiteracy of managing feelings and expressing our feelings that goes so deep and transcends over all areas of our lives. And it kind of goes back to, Bobby, what we were talking about with when you were talking and sharing about over communicating or following up relentlessly and efficiently, and it can be too much because we lose track of the time. And I think it's all part of the communication that we have to learn, and especially in branding and marketing, which is what this topic is: communication, communication, communication. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thanks, and appreciate it. And yeah, I just tweeted her, Melissa, that she could look at the replay. Thomas, thanks for waiting so much. I would love to hear your take. Feel free to introduce yourself first, then share your take or thoughts.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Tomasz from Poland, kind of between data engineering and law. So pretty much the end result is that I'm also pretty much anywhere, since data can be also pretty much anything. And I just wanted to jump in when you're talking about like prioritizing stuff, because I have found it like quite important, also quite challenging, at least to some extent. And I would say I have been in the process of like removing some stuff and dropping some stuff. So I like what you were saying about pretty much analyzing your week, because this is what I did. And I think one very important thing is this area is to basically drop yourself from things that are like draining you, and work on like having less regrets about that, like dropping your from, for example, assuming like there's like, for example, like a club that you join and it's just like draining you, then just drop and have like zero regrets about that. Like I still like find it like quite challenging to just basically drop myself and that's it. Like not like think that, oh, I missed something, just like basically work on this FOMO. But I think there's another challenge to that, and that's what I wanted to finish with, like trying to like prioritize stuff, and I think it's like kind of like the issue of like the paradigm change from like, like struggling to find information and going to libraries to basically to that point when there's so much information that you just like need to like prioritize stuff better, going back to what I was saying before, and also kind of like more focus on like principles and more focus on like basic like the key concepts, and then figuring out what you can like figure out, like for example, because basically the issue is that especially in tech there's this very high pace of things changing. So I just kind of like also struggle and also like kind of work on that basically to like prioritize stuff that is kind of like generic, and then figure out what you can read somewhere else and what you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thomas, that you bring a lot of really great points in terms of the struggle for business and business owners on how do we spend our time, how do we get rid of all the crap that we shouldn't be doing and focus on the things that we should be doing. I think it's a very challenging thing, and some things we hold on to because either a we love doing them, even though it's probably time consuming, or we don't want to give it to someone else because they won't do it right. They won't do it the way we want to do it. So I think that I've had issues on my own where I'm a bit of a micromanager and I can't let go of things. So I think that's something that comes into play here. I want to share 3 points that I think are really important, right? So if you're a business owner and you have all these things you want to market and all these things you want to do biz dev with, number one, what are the things you can automate? That's something you have to figure out for yourself. So a good example of that is I use If This Then That, which is basically a tool that when I post an Instagram post, it automatically shares to Twitter with the photo. And when I share, when I upload a YouTube video, it automatically shares to my Facebook biz page, my LinkedIn biz page, and to my Twitter feed. And that's a great way for me to automate the stuff that I'm doing, that I'm putting out there, as opposed to me doing it individually. So there are ways for you to automate different parts of your business. That's an important tool. I'm actually working. I just learned a new one this past week. I'm so excited. So basically, I just learned that when you do an event on LinkedIn, you can set up a Zapier where it automates sending emails to people who have given you their emails from LinkedIn. And so what I did was I had an event on Thursday last week, and when people signed up, it took them through 3 different emails that were automated to remind them to register and sign up for the event. And it worked, and I was really excited about that. So I got that set up. So now I have that other cool automation that I'm going to be using for some of my events. The second thing I want to mention is, what are you going to outsource? Right. So, I mean, you can't do everything. So finding ways to outsource will go a long way. I have 2 separate virtual assistants who help me with certain things. One of them is helping me with my LinkedIn outreach strategy, and another person is helping me with my Twitter outreach strategy. And they help me with other things too, like they make landing pages or they make some graphics for me and things like that. But because I'm not, even though I could go on Canva and I could make a graphic in a good 20 minutes, they can do them in 5 minutes. And so my hourly rate is saved by having someone else do it for me that doesn't charge as much as I do. So finding a different place for you to outsource your business development and your brand marketing is going to be huge for you. And again, we're not even talking about like crazy amounts of dollars. Like if you're just starting as an entrepreneur, like we're not talking about crazy amounts of dollars. It could be maybe, if you look at it from a year perspective, you might end up paying maybe $2,000 per year. Or $30 per month or $50 per month for someone to help you with some of these things. So it's not that difficult to figure that out. And the third thing I'll say is, you mentioned the January thing. I mean, planning is a big part of it, right? How do you plan your year, your 6 months, your quarters, your months, your weeks? You have to plan out plan out all the things you got to get done, and how do you prioritize? Now, some people like to use tools like Asana or Trello or whatever it might be to organize their projects and stuff. Other people like myself, I like to create like long lists of things and then put them into priority buckets. Other people like to do things on a daily or weekly basis. Other people like to do monthly basis. But you have to find a planning system that works for you. Failing the plan is planning to fail. So it's really important for you to organize yourself and so you don't get lost, because again, all these people that Linda referred to that are busy, they're busy doing the wrong things, or busy doing like soul sucking things or time consuming things, or not directly related to business development things. Because I know I've been there. I get distracted. Squirrel, like I get distracted. Like right now, my kids are home and they're when Indra was talking, just a while ago, I was like, what is all that hammering? And they were apparently, because today the big project the kids are doing is that they're switching rooms. So now they're switching the closets and dressers, and they started banging their name. They have these nameplates on their doors, and they switch them. And I was like, oh, you're hammering these things. You shouldn't do this without me watching you guys. Oh my God. So, I get distracted a lot. And so having that plan goes a long way into, being better at managing my business. If you're just listening in, guys, if you want to come on stage, share your thought, talk about your business, talk about your struggles, I'd love to hear from you. Just put your hand up. We'll bring you up on stage. If you have been enjoying this or you've heard a really cool insight, click the arrow above and retweet. Just share out the world. Tag me. Say, hey, Indra said this, and Linda said this, and Bobby said this, and come join the space, because we want to get people in this room to get benefits from what we're talking about today. Indra, any thoughts on what Thomas was saying, or what I've been saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think that planning is key, and I tried a few different systems, but I came back to Notion, because Notion is kind of, for me, the best of both worlds. I can either just write out lists, or I can actually clip so many things, like the website things, and save everything, and just so for different things. So I have different categories of what I'm doing. I have different sections for the movie stuff. I have different sections for the Positivity Vibe Tribe. And I found that, as well as that, then, I have the big picture for the year and then the months. And then what I found more useful recently is the night before, I actually do a plan for the week ahead and for the next day. Because what happens is I find that I need to reprioritize everything like each night beforehand. So I'm shuffling things around, and then if I have a meeting or something that comes up, I'm just the night before, I feel like I'm fully prepared. I just spend like 10 or 15 minutes kind of reprioritizing. And sometimes that means I have to shift, a meeting with emails or whatever that is. But I found that the night before planning has really helped me so much, than rather just, okay, I'm just going to plan on Sunday night and try to, uh, just meet those demands of the week. Whereas with life, things come up, and I feel like we have to be a little bit more responsive, as still being proactive. And the planning and using Notion for me has really, find your tool. I think a planning tool is really making a difference. And then I'm also planning for work ahead, as I mentioned. So I'm planning for, oh, well, when I do that, like it's Monday today, when I do that on Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read these notes here, or I'm going to go to this link, because you can paste it all and you can create this plan as well. So yeah, find a tool that works for you. And like I said, I've ended up back on basics, and I'm really enjoying the night prior planning.
Indra, you cut off for a second. Are you there?
Oh yeah, I think I'm back.
Oh, okay. You cut off just for like 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, yeah. So all I was just saying is that I'm really enjoying planning the planning activity the night before. That's my biggest thing, that the last 2 or 3 months I've instigated, instead of just, okay, I'm going to plan for the week, or this is for the month and this is what I'm going to do. Sunday night wasn't enough for me. I found it a lot more productive. My days have been with just taking 5 or 10 minutes the night before and planning.
So can I ask you about that? Because I mean, I've never done that, and because by the
Yeah.
time I'm done my day, I'm exhausted. So the idea of doing this at like
Hmm.
9 or 10 p.m. before to bed, kind of maybe because I'm always like, well, I'll just plan 15 minutes in the morning and think about what I want to do that day. And of course, what happens is like half the time it doesn't happen because I'm running to kids gotta go to school, up get my coffee,
Yeah.
and something else happens. So do you do this
Right.
do you do this at the end of your work day, like maybe 5 6 p.m., or do you do it actually like in the evening?
Okay, so what I end up doing is I do it before I'm about to go and have dinner, because, as you mentioned, if you leave it till like 9 o'clock, it's sort of things are starting to get fuzzy. So what I do is like, okay, so say if I'm going to eat dinner at 6 o'clock or whatever time it is, I plan like each day. I actually give myself 15 minutes, but I've become very efficient in I'm doing it in 5 or 10 minutes. Just because I don't want to feel the stress. So I have that time scheduled every day. And even if I'm, in a meeting or whatever, I will, do my best to kind of wiggle that out, make sure I've still got at least 10 minutes, before 6 p.m. in my evening. And at that time, I'm still pretty clear, like because I've been busy working away. The brain is all fresh. And at that point, I pretty much know, okay, well, after dinner, I'm going to do these tasks, or I have to do this, right? Or sometimes, I might even have a call with my mentor, or whatever that is. But pretty much I know what's going to be, and I'm not going to spend 10 hours in the evening. So I've pretty much figured out what I've achieved that day, what is already set for the next day, and what is flexible. So I actually prioritize, these areas, and I go back down the list. And so these certain things are set in the day, if they're meetings or deliverables that I have, like working on my movie, there's a piece of the budget that has to be completed. These are deliverables that are inflexible. So say if there's two or three of those major things per day, like I just prioritize it down to two or three. And then there's another list that I go down and I rate. Okay, well these would be on the second priority. And so then if I can get a couple of these things done and I see windows to do that, oh, before I have lunch, I actually have 40 minutes. I can get this done. I can get two of these things done. After lunch, I could get one of these other things done. And for me, that way, if something comes up, I can be more efficient with my day rather than I have tried that method of leaving it until the morning and planning in the morning each day. But then I find that I am subjective to, I don't really feel like doing that now, or do I have to do that? I'm almost like then thinking, well, or maybe I could do this, the next day. Whereas if I've already set, like, okay, and I even set the time, I pretty much go, okay, well, I'm just going to do that and get through that because these are the top two things for the day. And then these other things are going to be wins if I can get them off my plate. And then I don't think about the other days ahead unless they're meetings or I have to do some preparation for that. And it becomes a whole lot more efficient. And I even do that. I'll do it on a Friday evening a little bit earlier, like, Fridays, try to finish the day a bit earlier, spend time with friends and family and things. And because I don't extend myself, but I've probably got filming, YouTube filming over the weekend, and I might have one or two other things, and that's it. That's it. I'm not going to overdo it. And then I just give myself the night off, pretty much Saturday, Sunday. Well, actually, no, Sunday I still plan for Monday because things can change.
Wow, that's great, and I think that's great insights for people. And Linda, I want to see if you had any other thoughts or insights.
Not really.
That's fine. It's fine. I mean, we're covering a lot, so it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you again, I appreciate your insights here too, and I'm even going to send you an invite as a co-host, so you can be my honorary co-host if you want to
Oh,
join.
you're so kind. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I like this. I like your vibe. I like your energy. It's good, and so it's good. So again, if anybody else has any questions or want to come on stage and ask us about their business and how to help them with their brand marketing or their sales or their business development to help you stay focused, that's really what it's all about. And I saw that Linda tweeted about if this then that tool. Well, if you look at the nest above, See where it says want more professional content to build your brand? Check out my LinkedIn page and click follow and ring the bell. That's automated, right? But it's a cool tweet that comes out every couple of days on Twitter. And so I don't have to worry about doing that anymore because it's right there. And sometimes people will follow my page and next thing you know, I have connections on LinkedIn. So that's an example of something that's actually automated through If This and That. So, people, and I think If This and That has lots of great tools for that. For me, that and Meet Edgar are probably my two favorite content curating platforms. I also use Hootsuite as well, and Up Content. But for me, If This and That's great for repurposing stuff. And then I find Meet Edgar is one of the best ones for finding really cool RSS feeds and cool things to put out there across my platform. So, I hope you guys can take those to heart and use them. And the reason why we're talking about, brand marketing and biz development is because, again, it never ends. There's just so much you can do. That said, again, if you want to come on stage, ask a question, talk about your business, share what your struggles are, we want to hear from you. One thing I will say about business development is that this is one that I think a lot of people forget about in terms of, they'll host a webinar, they'll host a Twitter space, right? And that's fine and dandy. But you also have to do what's called proactive business development. And what proactive business development is, it's really the art of the follow-up and messaging people, right? So if you go to a live event, right, do you meet people that are aligned? Is there an opportunity for a potential business or a collaboration, whatever it might be, to investigate further? And then do you follow up and then set up that Zoom call or set up that coffee date or whatever it might be? That's really, really important. Another example is, DMs, right? So I often tell people that, and we've done some previous spaces, that if you want to build a thought leadership branding strategy to grow your brand, to get opportunities, to increase your revenue and to increase your leads and opportunities and whatever it might be that you're trying to do, number one is to optimize. You get clarity in your brand, be clear on your target, be clear on your objectives, and optimize your profiles. Put together a content strategy that demonstrates who you are and what you're all about and builds that attention around building trust around who you are, showing off your personality, showing off your expertise and the things you're really good at. But the thing that everyone forgets about is DMs, direct messaging people. You have to message people to start conversations. And I did a mini training, was it last week? Maybe last week. I did a mini training on just how to start authentic direct messages on any platform. Doesn't matter whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Clubhouse, whatever it might be. How do you start authentic conversations with people that can eventually lead to opportunities and lead to business? Because and the thing is, most people, it's the last thing people do, but it's the most important thing to do. I can't even tell you that, because the goal of having a great profile and the goal of having content is to drive interest, drive awareness, drive conversation, and eventually leads to someone reaching out to you or someone commenting or you reaching out to them. So that's why we do spaces here. Like here in this space, when I do a Twitter space, how many people actually reach out to me? Very few people do, right? I mean, Indra's often back channeling me. Hey, Bobby, how's it going? Good space today. But no one else is talking to me, right? Because they feel too afraid or too shy and they don't know what to say. I mean, start with gratitude. Hey, thanks for a great session. That's it. Now, if you actually have a question or you want help, hey, listen, I can use some help on my branding, or I can use help on my biz development or my sales. And next thing you know, that's going to get my interest because that's what I do. So I want to maybe have a conversation. Now, you're thinking, oh, but I don't want to have to, but I'm going to have to hire Bobby and it's going to be expensive. Listen, just starting the DM doesn't mean that you're going to hire me. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to get you as a client. But it does mean you're going to start a conversation. You're going to build relationships, build trust. And maybe I can refer you to something else. I have a ton of free stuff out there to help you out as well, and I can point you in that right direction. But most people don't message, and people often think, well, Bobby, you have 518,000 followers on Twitter, and you have 70,000 on Instagram, and 32,000 Instagram, and 70,000 on LinkedIn. You must be inundated with messages. Actually, you know what? Not true. People don't message me. I mean, I do get messages, just not as often as you think they would, because people are too shy or afraid to do anything about that. So if you can learn to become really good at sending people DMs, particularly to your warm network, I mean, you can do cold networking too, but to your warm network, it can be a game changer for where you spend your time. And, if we had to allocate the time spent, we talk about, what percentage of time is, marketing, what percentage of time is business development, whatever it might be. Some of that time should be spent on direct messaging people. And I'll give people a really easy tip, which is social audio events. So when I do LinkedIn audio, I do a LinkedIn audio event every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. So there's one happening actually this Tuesday. I do a Twitter Space now, which I'm doing. You look at everybody on the page here, and so I see there's Dr. Alex, there's Jafar, there's Kathy, there's Sam, okay, and there's Shu over there, and maybe you click on their profile, send them a message. Hey, I see you in the space. What did you learn from it? Or what was your favorite part of it? Or remember when Bobby shared that story? Oh, that was awesome. I mean, whatever you want to say, but just say something nice and say, hey, I saw you're in the space. What brought you here? I mean, give them something to answer, right? What brought you here? Or what did Bobby or Indra or Linda say that really got your attention? And you could do that. I do that with LinkedIn audio as well. When I have a LinkedIn audio event, I send messages to people. And so you could do that easily to start a conversation. So I just want to share that the importance, like for small businesses, there's so much power in the direct message when it comes to marketing your brand because they see your personality and your style, as well as business development. So just my thought there. Indra, anything you want to add to that or thoughts? Oh, that's good.
I loved what you said, Bobby. So I couldn't hold myself back.
That was awesome. The sound effects, man. Now, how do you do that? That I need to do that.
Okay. So down the bottom, I have this little wand, and you hit the wand.
Yeah.
And then comes up the soundboard if you've got it. Have you got
the
wand?
Oh yeah. Oh, so what? Oh, so I do this? Oh my God, that's so cool! I have no idea.
Bobby, how could you not know that? You know everything.
I can't believe I didn't know this. Oh my God.
So I can't believe I just taught Bobby Omar something.
Fantastic. When did this show up?
This has been here. It depends. I've had it for a few
remember
months.
The voice memo, but not the soundboard. That's cool.
Right. Yeah. So I really like the applause. It's something I use a lot, especially my Monday nights. Tonight's music show in the Positivity Vibe Tribe. If anybody's interested in music, it's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But what I was going to say is there's a natural feeling about being timid in the DMs, and it happened to me when I first got over on LinkedIn. And Bobby, you were doing I remember last year when you were talking about LinkedIn and how powerful the DMs are, but how to do it correctly and properly. And I think it was inspiring for so many people, not just myself, but to actually use the DMs, and not just. I mean, I get hundreds of DMs with people just going, hi, hey, hi, hey, and I'm and I'm like, hi, okay, and so I, or I just ignore them, because I'm just thinking, well, I haven't got time to just say hi. Is there something, is there a reason that you're reaching out to me, or they're testing the waters? So I think it's nice, even if somebody introduces themselves and says hi, we're connected and we've been connected for some time, and it's really great. I just read your tweet, or I was just in a space, or wherever it is that you struck them from. It's really nice to just kind of reach out and say something kind of personal or connecting, not just hi or hey, because that is the majority of my DMs, and I'm inundated with these two words, and I have no idea. I don't think I usually don't respond to that.
I usually don't respond to them because they're usually, do you do Forex trading? Or are you network marketing? And no, I don't want to deal with this. Or they're just some a foreign country, and it's just like spam. So if they just say hi, I never respond anymore because it's I've done it a couple times, but it doesn't really work out. So, or you check out their profile and you realize where they're coming from. So, I see Thomas's hands up. Thomas, go ahead with your thought.
Yeah, because there was something that I've been thinking about, and that is basically the GDPR data minimization principle. And basically the concept is that you use the minimum data, but minimum data that's required to fulfill the job. And this is why I was thinking about that in the context of high messages, because high messages are minimal, but they don't fulfill the thing that they're supposed to. But on the other hand, you have like a wall of text. Do you really like want to read a wall of text in your DM, like everything that's put there? I think no either. So I was just thinking because there is this concept that you need to like maximize everything, but I was just thinking about like minimization, but minimization the level of like there's enough, but it's enough like sufficient. It's like at the decent level, like to be like short in terms of like content at the same time, but also long in terms of like information that you're providing, but at the same time like not overloading the person. So it's kind of like complicated, but the idea is to pretty much like be concise in what you do.
Yeah, I think that certainly conciseness matters and being focused matters. And, I think all of us are trying to find that balance of, how often do we, message people? How often do we, follow up with them? Where do we spend our time? So I think the conciseness and focus, I think, is a really good point for business owners. I mean, those of us, this is all about small business a month, right? And so a lot of us as a small business owners often struggle with our time and our energy and our focus. And ideally you want to have a focus on the 80-20 rule, which is the 20% of your effort leads to 80% of the results. And everything else is outside of that. And so we want to get to that point where, we're able to do that and leverage it the best way possible. Now, we're going to be on for just a few more minutes. If anybody wants to come on stage and ask a question or talk about their business or, get some insights from these three amazing people on stage, myself included, we can help you guys out because I think Indra and Linda have been fantastic with their knowledge. And before I even move on, please, I encourage you to follow Linda and Indra, check out their profiles, follow them, message them, see what they're up to. Maybe they can help you with something. And if you need help from me, of course, I help people with business and career and personal branding and thought leadership branding, and content strategies. That's what I do. So if you want to reach out to me, you totally can. Maybe it might be good for us to share a tip or a strategy. So if we look at brand marketing or business development, I see Linda's on mic. Linda, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, thanks. Because, I just want to, Bobby, I want to share in that I am also learned from Indra the wands and the sound effects. I was old school back in the Clubhouse days where you unmuted your mic on and off, on and off, on and off for applause. So that's like considered old school now, I guess, with all this fancy audio. But I think one thing I do want to share is to your point about how overwhelming it can be with whether it's DMs or just doing some prospecting work for your small business, and how it takes a back seat because we're doing all the things for all the clients and the tasks that's required to earn that income, that we do forget to carve in a little bit of biz dev activities into our daily lives. And I think one thing that really helped me over the past 5 years is aligning myself with an accountability buddy where you have an hour call once a week. And I think that keeps us on track with ideas that then motivate us, and ideas that inspire to motivate us, because it's a lonely place owning a business. And especially if you're a freelancer or a sole prop, or if you do have partners, everybody's kind of sometimes scattered about. So if you have an outside influence that is also equally as ambitious and wanting to be held accountable with things that aren't their strong suit, but they know it's critical, I think that's just a fantastic way. And then you can learn all the things that are all the tricks of the trade. Like Indra's process to, have her day organized. I bow to you. I bow to you because sometimes my planning of my day, it may get into my calendar with an alarm that goes off like every 5 minutes, where and or I'm just keeping tabs open on things that I know are critical that have to be not forgotten about. And so, I mean, that's just like so Neanderthal almost compared to Indra. But I mean, that's the thing about, sometimes we're not perfect, and sometimes it's just about progress. And I think the accountability buddy has been such a lifesaver for me.
That's a great tip. Accountability buddies is one thing. There's also accountability groups, right? I was once part of this group that there was like 12 of them, 12 to 15 of them. They get together, and the goal was to get up at 6 a.m. and we get on a call together at 6 a.m. and talk about what we're going to focus on, the one thing we're going to do today, and then we'd work until 10 a.m. So basically 4 hours, and the goal is to progress on that one big task we're trying to work on. So it was a motivation for us to work on a bigger task. Like for example, I'm horrible with doing my taxes, and my dad is an accountant, of course, and he's like, "Dad, Bobby, get your taxes done," because I'm always late, right? And and so and it doesn't take that long, right? I mean, I just need 4 to 6 hours to do it, right? To go through the Excel sheets and organize things and whatever. But it's still 6 hours, and it's like and I never get to it. But if I just spent a day and say, yeah, I'm going to shut off everything else and just get that done, I could totally get that done. And so the accountability group works well too. And I've worked with a lot of people too, where again, a lot of small business owners, particularly, and so many of us have, we lack that focus. Having that accountability person or that group goes a long way. So what I do oftentimes is I'll book working sessions. I'll say, look, let's book 2 hours, because I have some people I work with on my team, and they have trouble getting work done over, like, 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's because they have their other businesses, but I also think they're probably not very focused. So I say, look, let's do a working session and just plow through stuff. And we're on a Zoom call, and we're muted, but we're working. Do work and work, work. And then if someone wants to unmute and ask a question, they do. And it's amazing what you can get done in 2 hours with someone else there on the other side. So I love that idea, Linda. That's a fantastic idea. Thanks so much for that. Indra, anything you want to add, like maybe another tip or suggestion around how do we cope with all the brand marketing and biz development that never ends?
Well, first of all, I want to say, yeah, that's a great idea, Linda, to have an accountability group. Um, I Once a week I have my mentor, and so he basically is both. He's my accountability group. He's about talking about what are we focusing on this week, what didn't happen last week, and then refocusing. So, I mean, the same thing you can do with a group of people. Uh, I found that I'm better focused just with one on one. And I think this is another area that we can all explore is, are you better with a group situation or with a one on one? I think Bobby has Bobby has both. He's had both experiences. He's worked with well, he still has a mentor like me. And I find that my mentor is really just, and also maybe because I'm very self disciplined, I've figured out that I can be, over disciplined with myself because, it'll come to a certain time in the evening and my husband will physically have to drag me off the computer. So I'm kind of on the other end of the spectrum, as in over focused. So discipline is not an issue for me. It's just having enough hours in the day. But yeah, I find that we're so different, and we also might shift. I think, um, I mean, to me, when you said about the group opportunity of accountability, that kind of sounds like it's fun. But then I think, oh well, I get too sociable on those calls and get a little bit distracted. But with my mentor, I'm just very focused. So I think it would be great to try both things, if people haven't already tried either, and figure out what what works best for them. The other thing that I've also been doing is, if I find that I'm having a bit of a stressful moment, and if, like, I have certain deadlines and things, and usually it's not the fun stuff. It's usually something that I have to figure out, and it's like usually to do with numbers or contracts, or something is going on. And so I've been playing a bit of music, just low, and usually it's classical. And classical music played really low, it seems to just kind of give me a little bit more energy. The other type of music that I'll do is, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm writing one of my YouTube shows, or writing something else that's creative, a newsletter or something, I'll also play some ambient kind of spiritual music, but very low. I never play music so it's like overbearing, it's distracting. But music can also give us like this insight, this growth, and I know you have music over at your house, Bobby, with the violins and things. So, um, you know, that could also be a
Not
distraction
not not that I
sometimes.
want it though. I didn't plan for it. They do it without me asking.
Well, see, that's right. We've had some beautiful music at different times in the shows. And so music can actually, I think it can help the brain. And then the other thing that I do is I also take intentional breaks so that I'm the most productive. So, particularly if I know I'm going to be working at something for an hour, I actually set just 5 or 10 minutes, and it could be only 5 minutes sometimes because I've got to jump on a Zoom or something. But what I do is I actually walk outside, I head out to my garden, and I'll take a glass of water or a cup of tea or a coffee out with me. And, even if it's just a couple minutes and I've got to head back in, I just get some fresh air. I stretch and move the body because when you move the body, sometimes you free the mind because we've been sitting. So they're just a couple of things that I do.
Yeah, and I want to comment on the group thing. So having a personal accountability partner or having a group. I mean, the thing with the group that I did, I just didn't like getting up at 6 a.m. So I was like, this is not for me. Like, I don't really want to do this. And the other thing is, having a group that you trust to focus and whatever. I think there's always the forming, storming, norming of groups. So yeah, there's a bit of chit chat in the beginning, but eventually you get to work. And if you can do it consistently and you build that habit, it becomes something that people look forward to. Another way to do it is you set up, let's say a 2-hour call where we're going to work for an hour and a half and then spend just half an hour chatting and talking to each other and just, catching up on things. That also really works as well. So you have to figure out what works for you. I mean, I'm glad that you're so self-disciplined, Indra. I am now, but, I've been doing this for 17 years. And I can tell you the first 14 years were terrible. So I would say that, the first 5 years were pretty bad, because then I met with that mentor that I said at the beginning of this call, a mentor and my coach saying, Bobby, you need to focus your time better. And then I got to a medium level the next 5 years. And now I'd say only in the last, and then the pandemic came, right? And just put everything out of whack, right? So I would say that I've only been really, I mean, yes, I've been way better self-disciplined in the last 4 or 5 years for sure. But yeah, it definitely has been hard. And so, my point is that those who are just starting out or struggling, get going on that discipline with accountability in groups right away. Because if you're not, the truth is, most people are not that self-disciplined. I should teach a course called for GMAT, which is the Graduate Management Admissions Test for people who want to do their MBAs, right? And if you want to do an MBA, you have to pass the test. Now, one of the stats that was quite stark and interesting is that, having worked with 1,000 students over 15 years and having coached lots of students who are trying to beat the GMAT, the ones who are able to study on their own and get the super high scores is seriously very, very low. They need to have a class structure. They need to have a coach or a consultant or a teacher helping them versus doing it on their own. It's very rare on your own to have that success. So that tells me the self-discipline in people is quite, quite low, which is why I would say the majority of small business owners need to have some sort of community for accountability or a group or a one-on-one accountable person, coach, something to keep them focused and accountable to help them get to that next level. So I think that's an important piece when it comes to small businesses. I think we're pretty much at the end of our time now. So I kind of want to thank. I want to get people to check out the links above. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn or other pages, you totally can. If you have questions, you can always ping me or tweet. If you found this really helpful, I mean, an easy thing to do is just take a picture of this page and share it on Twitter and say, "Here's what I learned from Bobby, Indra, and Linda," and you share 3 things. I saw one of you did that, which was great, but that was in the chat group. But share it as a separate tweet. And we're here every week around 11:30 a.m. It really depends on my schedule, but it's usually around that time that I start. And I thought we'd end with having Linda and then Indra share their final thoughts before we go. So, Linda, over to you.
My final thought is activity begets activity. So sometimes the reason we get stalled or we hesitate is because we don't think there are results. I think you sort of, you have to plant the seed for it to harvest and grow. And I think the same thing with activity. If you start out, whether you plan 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you'll find that it gets easier and easier once you start. It's sort of like once you put your shoes on and walk out the door and you want to take a walk, the hardest part is putting the shoes on. It's scheduling the time to do the thing that you're not wanting to do, but it doesn't really take that much time, and cumulatively over time you'll see results, and that is what I think motivates to build that in as a practice. So that's my last thoughts on the subject. Thank you for having me up here, and thank you for everyone joining in.
Thanks, Linda. I'd love to have you back sometime too. So feel free to ping me anytime. We can plan something.
Thank you.
Indra, go ahead.
Oh yeah, thanks so much. An amazing wrap up, Linda. I always think, okay, so I think about all the planning, and I'm a really great planner. I always think, wow, that's so great. I've planned all these things, and I go back and I check the times on it and everything else. But ultimately, it's sort of like, when you watch the movie The Secret, or when you read the book The Secret. So it's there's this big thing about getting our mindset in the right place, so that we are able to move forward, so that we're able to be creative, we're able to plan. And creativity is really important for small business owners and for ourselves, just to keep, refueling and having enough to continue on the creative path. Because that's what we are. We're creating, we're creators. If we have any type of social media account anywhere, we are creators pretty much. So we have to really make sure that we are also nurturing ourselves, and that we have enough time, set aside, like for our own self-care, whether that's, okay, the weekend is coming up, I'm going to take time off, with my friends and family and loved ones. I'm going to do some things for myself. And that should happen on a daily basis as well. In order for us to be able to do all these things, to be able to plan everything and then to move forward with actions, we have to be nurturing ourselves. We have to make sure we're getting enough sleep, we're hydrated. Don't sit at your desk and not, sip on some water or some tea for like 5 hours. That's just not productive. Your brain will just start to fog up, and, you're no use to yourself or anybody else. So I just want to reflect on, your self-care piece. And then also ultimately, and I reflect back to, some of the books that I've read from Bob Proctor, being a businessman, being in the mindset game. And it's always about the actions, ultimately, being able to take those steps forward. And sometimes they're just small steps every day as business owners. It doesn't have to be huge leaps, but it's moving forward consistently every day. So that's kind of my wrap up. And everybody, if you aren't following Bobby already, do follow him, because he offers so much great content on a daily basis, plus all of his courses. And I have taken his TEDx course, and it was amazing. And then also do jump over to LinkedIn and connect with him, because he knows a million people over there. So thanks so much for having me, Bobby. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Indra. Appreciate it. And I see Thomas has his hand up, so I'll let you share your thought, Thomas. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to end with an idea, and that is to like also consider your social media notifications and where you may want like to disable at least a part of them, and also like to analyze where your attention is going. So for example, if you just like spend too much time like watching cat videos, maybe that's something to cut,
Yeah, the moment I took my notifications off my phone, certainly helped my focus for sure. So I think that's an important piece. So we're at the end of the space, and I want to tell you what I'm up to in the next little bit. So I'm doing a LinkedIn audio room tomorrow on how to deal with LinkedIn help and tech issues when things go screwy on the platform. That's at 4 p.m. So that's one thing you look at. And then on Wednesday, I'm actually doing a really interesting It's a partnered talk with who's originally my coach, Carlos Adele, but now he's actually my partner for this. We're doing this thing on how to monetize on LinkedIn, but also talking about how he has this really cool new business hub for entrepreneurs and small business owners, which I've been using. And I got to say, it's awesome. It's basically everything in one place. So like if you want to do an event, you want to have your Calendly, you want to have your funnels, you want to have your landing pages, you want to have your messaging, all that kind of stuff. It's all in one place. It's very intuitive, and I'm starting to really love it. So that's actually at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. It's free, so come join us. You can see it on my LinkedIn channel as well. But we'll be doing that. It's a Zoom call, but we're expecting a lot of really awesome insights there. And I'm going to share with you how I actually monetize on LinkedIn. So, and then Indra was mentioning the TEDx course. So I'll be doing a TEDx thing probably later next month. But I'm also going to be starting my. I haven't done this in a long time, but I used to run a 5-day thought leadership branding program, like a challenge. So for 5 days, I'll take people through 1 hour of training and coaching. I'm going to be doing that probably the first week of December. If anyone's interested in that, just ping me and I can tell you all about it. But it's going to be awesome. I'm going to share 5 full days, 1 hour per day, to take you through the journey of what you need to do to get to that, to get clarity in your personal brand, and then to build your thought leadership brand so you can get the results you want, like doubling your revenue, getting business opportunities, getting book deals, getting TEDx talks, getting speaking gigs, all the things you want to do to elevate your brand. So just ping me for that. We're here every week on Mondays around 11:30 a.m. for the Power of Connection chat. Thanks to Indra, thanks to Linda, thanks for Thomas, thanks to everybody else in the audience. When you see the replay, again, you can take the replay, share with the audience, share your 1, 2, or top 3 tips or insights or things from it, and take the replay and share that with the audience because I think they're gonna value that. With that, I'm gonna say goodbye to you all. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful week, and we will see you soon. Yeah, you know what? I should do that. What are the other ones? I don't even know what they are. Oh, I love this. Fantastic. Okay. Now I'm ending. Goodbye. See ya.